Welcome to the first episode of our ophthalmology series, Ophthalmology Perspectives. I'm Amber Berg, Therapeutic Area Delivery Head for Neuroscience and Ophthalmology at Fortrea. And today I'm joined by Tanya Richardson, Fortrea's Therapeutic Strategy Head for Neuroscience and Ophthalmology, and Lisa Liang, Senior Director of Clinical Operations at Belite Bio. Lisa leads the Global Ophthalmology Trials team and is helping to advance the company's pioneering treatment for Stargardt's disease and geographic atrophy. In the conversation today, we're going to dive into the evolving landscape of patient recruitment in ophthalmology and explore how Belite Bio and Fortrea are collaborating to overcome protocol complexities and discuss the unique opportunities Asia PAC presents for ocular development. We'll also look ahead at the most promising trends shaping the future of ophthalmology trials. In ophthalmology, patient recruitment can be particularly challenging given the specific visual function requirements. Lisa, I'd like to start by asking what your recommendations are for overcoming these challenges.
Ophthalmology trials can be particularly challenging given the age group and very specific lesion and visual function requirements. What we're doing is threefold. First, we're broadening access. We're not only working with large academic centers, but also private ophthalmology practices, so we can reach to more diverse patients. And second, we're taking a very patient-centric approach to engagement. So we make sure patient brochures, reminding cards are available with large fonts, and we are actively involving caregivers since they play an important role in supporting these population. We also partner with local optometrists. They also help us connect with larger pool of older patients who may have undiagnosed eye problems. And third, we use data to be smarter about recruitment. Real-world data help us pinpoint sites with higher concentrations of potential eligible patients. And once patients are on the study, we support them with travel assistance.
Thanks for kicking us off with such a clear threefold solution to these challenges. Tanya, is there anything you would like to add from Fortrea's side?
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa is spot on. When we look at strategies to help support our vision impaired patients, it's what do we do to reduce the burden on the patients, but it's also the caregivers that you have to take into consideration. And while those of us that don't have any vision impairment, don't really think about it, but as she said, the font size is very important. Or the colors that you use, the contrast that you use really does make a difference. And, when you've got patients that have this vision impairment, just being able to help support them with a driver that can take them from their home to the site and then from back, the site back to their home is very important. And it helps not just with the recruitment, but it also helps with retaining those patients because once we get them in the studies, we don't want to lose them.
I appreciate that both of you highlighted the patient-centric approach, which is essential in clinical trials for the visually impaired. Lisa, with patient recruitment being crucial to your clinical trials, when selecting Fortrea as your CRO partner for your phase 3 ophthalmology trial, what specifically convinced you that Fortrea could navigate the unique complexities of ophthalmology development versus other CROs you were talking to? Did patient recruitment strategies come into that decision?
For our phase 3 and extension studies, we needed a partner who could handle the scale of a pivotal study, but still manage the specific demand of ophthalmology. So Fortrea stood out in three ways. First, their ophthalmology track record. So they've successfully ran late-phase ocular trials before. So we knew they understood the complexity of visual endpoints, eye imaging, as well as patient needs. And second, they're a global network. So they have presence in countries of interest, and they have access to leading academic centers as well as private practices, which is crucial for recruiting patients in the phase 3 setting. And last but not least, their operational excellence. So Fortrea demonstrates strong capabilities in site training and regulatory compliance. And at the same time, they show flexibility in adapting to sponsor, site, and patient needs.
Lisa, thank you. I appreciate that tremendously. And I will say that, thinking back to when we first started collaborating, back to the pre-award space, if you will, before the study was awarded, we talked about how important a one-team approach was. And that's how we absolutely look at any collaboration with our clients. And especially with a biotech client, it's very important in that aspect as well, because we understand things change and they can change very quickly. And so you have to be able to be flexible and nimble and adaptive. The other thing I'll say is thank you from, the standpoint of our global reach. We have a lot of experience in many of the countries, and that's important. And we understand that. We understand that our staff being trained and experts in the therapeutic area, but also in your protocol is also extremely important. And, we know we don't want to send a CRA to a site and them not be trained up in the nuances in ophthalmology, because it is complex and people just sometimes don't realize that. So appreciate very much the collaboration that we have with you and your team, because it does make the partnership and the work on the study, it's so much more exciting. And it's our study too, is the way we look at it. And at the end of the day, we all do what we do for these patients. So thank you for what you and Belite are doing.
Yeah, yeah, I feel the same. I think the partnership is definitely the most important thing for moving a large trial forward.
I think another interesting aspect of our collaboration is that Belite Bio is a US-based company with a strong Asia PAC presence. What unique opportunities does Asia PAC have for ophthalmology development, and how has Fortrea helped you leverage some of these advantages while also navigating some challenging regional nuances?
For geographic atrophy, we've seen faster recruitment in the US and Europe. It has been tough in APAC, and this is because this is the first late phase GA study here. So diagnosis isn't as established, awareness is lower, and there just aren't as many patients already identified in the hospitals. So that's where our APAC presence and Fortrea support are key. So with people on the ground, we can work directly with the investigators and referral networks. And Fortrea brings the regulatory expertise and regional connections to build that infrastructure. So recruitment may be harder in APAC today, but it means that we're laying the groundwork for GA research, and that will benefit patients here for years to come.
That's a difficult indication to try and establish a clinical trial population in. Tanya, is there anything you would like to add from Fortrea's side?
What Lisa said, as far as the looking at geographic atrophy, there are currently 2 approved drugs. The uptake is very low still, especially in the US. So it is very important to really work and look to bring additional therapies to the market for these patients. And as Lisa said, it's not just the US, it's looking from a global aspect. And right now there's nothing out there for GA other than, there's vitamins, there's the AREDs, if you will, treatment. But it's something that's very important, because again, let's get these patients, let's get them diagnosed early, let's get them, in the treatment so that they don't progress to the more severe, the especially going to wet AMD. That is what the whole purpose of really trying to get these patients treated early.
Thanks, Tanya and Lisa, for those insights. As we approach the end of this episode, I want to turn our attention to the future of ophthalmology clinical development. What do you both see as most promising emerging trends in ophthalmology clinical development in the near future?
I think one of the biggest things right now that we're seeing is around AI. There's several vendors out there. There's several of the vendors that we have been talking with at Fortrea for a couple of years now. And so, I do feel like we are going to see a huge difference from where they're able to take the imaging, these ocular images, and, predict, for these patients that have GA, dry AMD, if you will, kind of predict their progression, but also be able to look at that, because a lot of our retina studies, especially GA, you see a very high screen failure rate. And that is one of the things that we are very excited to see the impact on the screen failure rate, for these patients in these trials, looking at their ocular images. But also, I know there's some of the vendors out there that also have access to the medical records. So, taking both of those into account, you really are able to, from an AI perspective, determine whether these patients would qualify for the study before they're even brought in, to perform a visit.
And Lisa, what about you?
Similar, but a different approach. I think looking at the most exciting developments in ophthalmology are happening at the intersection of new science and new ways of running trials. So we're seeing modalities like gene therapy, cell therapy moving into studies. But at the same time, advances like in imaging, digital endpoints, things like AI-driven imaging analysis, or even home-based monitoring, they're giving us more sensitive tools to measure disease progression while making participation easier for patients. And at Belite, we're preparing to take full advantage of these trends by leaning on our global footprint, investing in digital innovation, and above all, keeping patients at the center of our approach. So Belite will be the first to bring a treatment for Stargardt patients worldwide, and we're doing it with a simple once-a-day oral tablet. So compared to what Tanya mentioned, intravitreal injections or gene therapies, that's truly a patient-friendly breakthrough.
It's such an exciting time to be able to look forward to and be part of. And at Fortrea, we've been part of this journey for a long time, right, Tanya?
Fortrea actually has over 30-year history. A lot of people are familiar with Covance, in which I came from the Chiltern acquisition of Covance, and so of course Covance to LabCorp, and then we have been Fortrea, our standalone company, for 2 years now. And I'm very happy to say that from an ophthalmology perspective, we have continued to grow and expand, and our company is very much committed into ensuring that we continue that expansion and growth in ophthalmology, because right now it is a very exciting time in ophthalmology. There's just so many studies going on and so much advancement in, again, looking at reducing the burden on patients. And I'm excited about the day when we can say that we have been able to bring back vision to patients that have lost it, and absolutely prevent patients from losing their vision.
Absolutely. That's the ultimate end goal, and we're all working towards it. I want to thank you, Lisa, for speaking with us today, and also for being a true collaborator with Fortrea. It means a lot to us, and we're very excited to see this product's success and the future collaboration with Belite Bio. Thank you, Tanya, for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today. In this episode of Ophthalmology Perspectives, we explored patient recruitment, the importance of collaboration, and the unique opportunities and challenges in global ophthalmology trials. We also touched on the exciting future trends shaping our field. Be sure to join us for an upcoming episode where we delve deeper into gene and cell therapies, inherited retinal diseases, phase 1 studies in ophthalmology, and the unique challenges these areas present. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to having you with us on the next episode of Ophthalmology Perspectives.